waters are fast-moving.
Unlike other big rallies,
Cockpit earlier at about 7 a.m. A group from the Coast Guard.
Welcome to #PHGold 2013.
Today on Rappler, monster winds and giant waves from Typhoon Yolanda, international name Haiyan, batter the central Philippines. At least 4 senators want their pork barrel deleted from the 2014 budget. And Hong Kong lawmakers vote to scrap Filipinos' visa-free access. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. The most powerful storm of the year hits the Philippines Friday, bringing monster winds and giant waves as it barrels through eastern Visayas. U.S.-based Weather Underground says the strength of the wind makes Super Typhoon Yolanda, international name Haiyan, one of the 4 most powerful typhoons ever recorded in the world and the most powerful to have made landfall. More than 125,000 people in the most vulnerable areas were moved to evacuation centers before Yolanda hit. State Weather Bureau Pagasa says the typhoon is located 147 kilometers west of Roxas City. It has maximum sustained winds of 215 kilometers per hour near the center and gusts of up to 250 kilometers per hour. Storm signal number 4 is up over Aklan, Capiz, Antique, Iloilo, Guimaras, extreme northern Palawan, Calamian Islands, southern occidental Mindoro, and southern oriental Mindoro. Signal number 3 is up over the rest of the Mindoro provinces, Romblon, rest of northern Palawan, and Puerto Princesa City. Signal number 2 is up over Negros Occidental, Negros Oriental, Cebu, Biliran, Lubang Island, Batangas, Marinduque, the rest of Palawan, and Masbate. Signal number 1 is up over Camiguin, Surigao del Norte, Dinagat, Eastern Samar, Northern Samar, Leyte, Southern Leyte, Camotes Island, Bohol, Siquijor, Metro Manila, Bataan, Cavite, Rizal, Laguna, Quezon, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Albay, and Sorsogon. The typhoon first smashed into the coastal communities of Samar and Leyte. It's expected to leave the Philippine Area of Responsibility Saturday morning. Landslides threaten 41 barangays in Region 4B, or 5 provinces in southern Luzon, as the typhoon makes its way to Busuanga, Palawan, southern part of Mindoro, and other parts of southern Luzon. The threatened barangays are spread out across Marinduque, Occidental Mindoro, Oriental Mindoro, and Palawan. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRIMC, reports at least 2 people were electrocuted by power lines toppled by the typhoon, while a 3rd victim was struck by lightning. At least 7 people are injured. More than 140,000 families, or 700,000 people, are affected across 29 provinces. In Dinagat, strong winds uproot trees and take down shanties along the shores. Early Friday, the island province experienced storm surges of up to 4 feet. About 2,000 families are staying in evacuation centers after residents of coastal villages were ordered to leave their homes ahead of the typhoon. Storm surges flood Tacloban City and Leyte, with low-lying areas hit hard. Pag-asa warned storm surges may go up to 15 feet in the city. On Thursday, Interior Secretary Mar Rojas and Defense Secretary Volt Gasmin arrived in the city to supervise government response there. In Surigao del Norte, at least 5 houses are destroyed as the typhoon battered the province. More than 28,000 residents take shelter in different evacuation centers. In Bohol, at least 15 people are rescued from 2 cargo barges docked at Guindulman Port after strong waves outbalanced the barges. The 2 barges, loaded with limestone, left Garcia Hernandez Port in Bohol, but were forced to seek shelter because of the typhoon. 1 crew member remains missing. The typhoon cuts off communication lines in at least 5 areas: Eastern Samar, Palo, Leyte, Tacloban City, Leyte, Pacific and Panawan in southern Leyte, and Biliran. Power interruptions hit many areas. The provinces of Samar, Leyte, Cebu, and Bohol, as well as the islands of Panay and Negros, are off the grid. National Grid Corporation is working to return electricity to areas with blackouts. The typhoon forces the cancellation of flights as several airports shut down. The Social Welfare Development allots 53.24 million pesos for relief operations. Typhoon Yolanda hits land in the Philippines 5 times, described by PAGASA's officer in charge Vicente Malano as island hopping. The Philippines gets an average of 20 typhoons every year, but they usually hit land, make one landfall, and then slow down as they move away. In the case of Yolanda, Malano says the super typhoon hit the island provinces of the Visayas and gathered more energy as it hit waters in between. PAGASA says a possible 6th landfall may happen in Calamian group of islands located at the northern tip of Palawan if the track doesn't change. Help report critical information like flooding, road damage, or those who need rescue using Rappler's Project Agos Disaster Information Map. Tweet at MovePH or post on the MovePH Facebook page to report a person in need of rescue or any areas of flooding in your areas. You can also submit direct reports on the map. Rappler will monitor this information and alert local authorities. A study by the Manila Observatory says some of the Philippines' poorest provinces are in the path of the super typhoon. In their November 7 technical report, the Research Institute says the provinces of Northern Samar, Masbate, Bohol, Negros Oriental, and Antique are most vulnerable because of their high incidences of poverty. Bohol is still reeling from the effects of a magnitude 7.2 earthquake last month. The report says poverty in the provinces will affect disaster prevention measures and relief and recovery. More than 5 million people live in the 10 poor provinces directly along Typhoon Yolanda's path. Moving on to other news, at least 4 senators want their Priority Development Assistance Fund, or PADAF, deleted from the 2014 budget. Senators Coco Pimentel, Grace Poe, Frank Drilon, and Cheese Escudero want the 200 million peso allotted to each of them deducted from the budget instead of being realigned to 4 government agencies. The senators agreed to take on individual position on the abolition of the PADAF. In a press statement Friday, Escudero says 8 senators, including himself and Drilon, submitted letters to his committee. Escudero says the individual positions of the senators will be turned into an amendment to the House version of the budget. Calls for the abolition of the PADAF snowballed after the multi-billion peso pork barrel scam was exposed. In response, the president announced an overhauled PADAF will replace the current system. The South China Morning Post reports Hong Kong lawmakers voted 41-3 to remove Filipinos' visa-free access to Hong Kong. The same report says lawmakers also passed a non-binding motion to, quote, impose sanctions on the Philippines. The votes come after Hong Kong's chief executive Leung Chun-ying threatened sanctions against the Philippines if it does not take concrete steps to address victims' concerns over the 2010 Manila hostage incident. Hong Kong lawmaker Wong Kwok Kin says the non-binding motion will not necessarily become law, but it, quote, exerts pressure not only on the Hong Kong government but also the Philippines. Victims of the hostage incident demand an apology, compensation, punishment for officials involved, and improved tourist safety. They've already rejected an apology from Manila Mayor Joseph Estrada. Philippine Communications Secretary Sonny Coloma downplays the move, saying the Philippines' stand remains the same. He adds, both sides are working quietly to address these concerns and reach a mutually satisfactory conclusion. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 6, the U.S. Senate on Thursday passes the Gay Rights Bill for Workers, voting 64-32. The Senate votes to include gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people in the country's non-discrimination law. Though the New York Times calls it a bipartisan show of support that is rare for any social issue, the bill is still expected to face stiff opposition in the House. At number 7, U.S. regulators take steps to ban trans fat from processed foods, saying the artery-clogging oils are not safe for humans to eat. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration says its findings are based on, quote, available scientific evidence and the findings of expert scientific panels. If the decision is made final, partially hydrogenated oils would be considered food additives and could not be used in food unless regulators authorized it. Consumer groups hail the move as a major step to eliminate a type of fat blamed for heart disease. At number 9, The U.S. economy grows 2.8% in the third quarter, surprising analysts who expected the world's largest economy to grow by only 1.9%. Analysts forecast a weaker fourth quarter after a Washington budget battle forced a government shutdown in October. That cut an estimated $24 billion from the economy. Scott Hoyt of Moody's Analytics warns the shutdown will cut a half percentage point of growth in the fourth quarter. And at number 10, Twitter hits Wall Street with a bang Thursday as an investor frenzy quickly sent shares surging. In the first exchanges, Twitter vaulted 80.7% to $47 a day after the initial public offering at $26 per share. Twitter offered 70 million shares on the New York Stock Exchange, generating $1.82 billion, and gave underwriters an option to buy an additional 10.5 million shares. The IPO issued a market value of around $14.4 billion to the company. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page that crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have gotten the most number of votes. These stories have affected our readers and viewers the most. If you take a look today, the story, The Big Yellow, is Typhoon Yolanda, East Visayas, signal number 4. This is Yellow is afraid, 59% afraid, 23% sad. Dangerous Yolanda hits Eastern Visayas, 59% afraid. That mixed with this, the 2% angry, the red, which leads to the story that's gotten the most number of votes in the last 24 hours. Still, the Napoles testify at the Senate. As it happens, 72% angry, that big red circle leading to the mood of the day. Today, most people are angry. Well, that's Rappler's Newscast for today, Friday, November 8, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.